Hello, beautiful, and welcome to another episode of Breathe. Wow. Oh my goodness, it's been a minute since I was able to come to you guys and bring you an episode of Breathe. So it's so good to be back. My name is Dr. Tracy Gibson, and I am your host. And hopefully, in the next 10 minutes or so, we will be able to share some nuggets that will help and will give insight and will give some relief and some power to move forward, right? And so today I just briefly want to come to you and I want to talk to you about dependent personality traits. Now, I'm not going to go all the way down into the DSM-5's diagnoses of dependent personality disorder, but it's going to be touching on some of the definitions, some of the treatments, some of the intervention, way that you think, you move will be in the same field as the personality disorder and working with somebody that has one. But I really just want to talk to those that are struggling in a place of not being, and as you know, your authentic self, wanting to grow, wanting to move forward and being your true self and understanding, who you truly are and enjoying who you truly are, right? That's going to be part of our exercise today. And so with that, I just want to briefly touch on what personality the disorder. Well, let me back up. Not even the disorder. I said I wasn't going to go in there. Such a therapist. But I really just want to touch on the dependent personality trait and what it may look like and how it may manifest itself in some people. When we talk about this trait, we're talking about someone that may have difficulty making decisions without other people's input, being overly passive and overly submissive. Nothing wrong with being submissive, but I mean overly. And I'm serious when I say the word overly, right? The inability to have a voice, stand up for themselves. You'll find this a lot of times when it comes to people who are in toxic and unhealthy relationships, is that they don't have a voice in that relationship and they tend to allow the other person to be I don't want to say the aggressor, but the more prominent one in the relationship, more dominant, if you could say that. And it tends to be a person who is very fearful of abandonment. And we'll talk about that because that stems from actually how the personality traits become these behaviors in us. They stem from childhood things in our development when we were younger, whether it was a young child or whether it was a teenager. And a lot of times, again, not to talk about the diagnosis, we know that it's usually diagnosed when somebody is an adult, that they have this type of personality disorder. But you can really see in this person that has the traits that they have trouble starting projects. They have problems being a part of a group, right? Because I'd rather for the group to do the work in my steed because I need that validation. I'm dependent on what you think. I'm dependent on your decisions and not mine. And so you'll see that they struggle being in these groups. And those with A personalities like myself, we really never showed them too much empathy because we really didn't understand possibly what was going on. So now you have a little insight maybe as to why some people, whether it's your coworkers or classmates, have a little issue with working in groups. But they're willing. When somebody has this trait, they're willing to give up a lot of the power that they have about their life, and that's because as a child, for whatever reason, whether it was trauma, whether it was those that had authority in their life, did not allow them to have a voice, possibly it took away their power to be their true self. It stifled, if we can use that word. Can we use that word, stifle? I want to talk about specifically even the parts of their authentic self was hidden. It was made to be hidden as a child. I could go into great details, but you get the gist of it. Who they truly were was told that was too much, or that's not who you should be, or that's not good enough. Even those type of things that were instilled into people in their younger developmental stages, that goes along. And so now what happens as they continue to grow? They're not allowed to be the potential to be their full selves, and so they become dependent, right, on other people's choices, other people's decisions, need validation from other people about their decisions, about their choices, things of this nature. And so with that dependent, they find themselves oftentimes in very unhealthy relationships, whether it's romantic, whether it's family, familiar relationships, whether it's friendships, what have you. They find themselves in very toxic, unhealthy relationships. And you'll hear people say, well, why do I attract this type of person? Why do I always find myself in this type of relationship? Why do I always see myself in this place? And it's not necessarily that you attract. You really don't attract. There is no law of attraction when it comes to relationships, when it comes to being in communion with people. It is what we allow in our lives. It is what we allow people to do, to say, how we allow people to treat us. Understanding boundaries is not. I'm not going to go all the way into boundaries, but a person that has dependency traits do not understand how to not only maintain, but to set up healthy and effective boundaries with people. And therefore, they find themselves allowing, because one, remember, go back to, let's pause right there and talk about this. Remember, go back to abandonment, right? In abandonment, when somebody has abandonment issues, it's not about what was wrong with that person to abandon me, or what issues was that person dealing with to abandon me, or what was unhealthy for that person to abandon me. It was always about what's wrong with me. What did I do? Why am I not enough? Those type of things, right? And so with that, if you can imagine that within a child and a young adult, as they're going through these development stages where they're supposed to be learning trust, where they're supposed to be learning the difference between inferiority and being, in control, the difference between knowing who they are and who they can be, and you've got someone or something that's stifling that, such as abandonment, or the thought of abandonment, or the results of abandonment, or the fear of abandonment. Now fast forward to adulthood. Every time that person is in a relationship, okay, we're just going to use relationship here. Every time that person is in a relationship and they have not grown or been healed from that space, in that place of development, they go right back to that place in development in that relationship. And they say, let me do whatever it takes so that this person will not abandon me, right? And that could be, let me be so dependent upon them that I allow them to have all the power in the relationship. I allow them to influence my decisions so heavily that I'm never my authentic self when I'm with them. I'm never my authentic self because I need somebody else to tell me how to be so that I'm not alone. Right? That's just an example. There's so many other things that play into the hand. Trauma. We could talk about the trauma somebody experienced. And when they find themselves in that same thought pattern, they go right back to that trauma. It is so much time to be healed. It is so much time to be the potential and live up to the passions and the gifts and embrace our potential and all that we are meant to be as our authentic selves. But one of the things that a lot of people have to move from is operating out of that dependent trait and needing validation from other people, needing to feel like this person or that person loves me and supports me, or I can't do it. Needing to be validated in the fact that who I express myself as is good, or needing to be validated in a relationship to believe that I'm worthy enough to be loved. There's so much that I could go down into right now and talk about. One of the things that I wholeheartedly believe in is that psychotherapy is the answer. Psychotherapy is the answer to help. CBT, learning how to change the behaviors, learning how to challenge the negative thinking, the negative thoughts that come from this place where we missed it in development, and it became negative thinking, negative images, negative self-images. And so I'm really big on working with people on those self-images. And so your homework today is going to be about self-images, right? One of the things that I really want to focus on as we go into talking about your homework assignment is understanding that we have to have so much empathy when we are in relationship with somebody that has a dependent personality trait. We have to listen. We have to be careful that we're not in a place of judgment. And please don't take this as a form of judgment. But we have to be ourselves in order to allow other people to be themselves. It'll make sense. And sometimes we don't allow other people to be themselves because we haven't learned to be ourselves. And so what we take into a relationship then becomes toxic and causes each of the other to depend on the other to fully be themselves. Now, I'm not talking about working together and I'm not talking about marriage and becoming one. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about toxicity right now. I'm talking about I haven't been made whole in the damage that was done to me, and you haven't been made whole in the damage that was done to you. And so therefore we come together and now neither one of us can function without each other. In any relationship, there should be some type of independence without each other. I don't know how we got over there, but we're going to take it. And so with that, it is really big that we work on ourselves, that we work on identifying what we like about ourselves, what we enjoy about ourselves, so that we can feel whole and think cognitively enough to make decisions on our own and without depending on the validation of others in our decisions. Now, I'm not talking about seeking wise counsel. Seek wise counsel when you need help in sticky situations. I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying is when you live a life where every one of your thoughts, every one of your choices, every one of your decisions is surrounded by what mama thinks, by what daddy thinks, by what best friend thinks, by what whoever. I'm talking about situations where we totally depend on other people to help us make decisions in our lives and move forward. So I want us to step back, and I want in the next 3 weeks, this is a 3-week assignment that we're about to do, right? A 3-week assignment. We're going to work on some self-esteem. And I'm not saying that everybody's self-esteem is down, but guess what? Everybody's self-esteem could use some boosting. Everybody could use some good self-love. I don't care who you are, right? And so with this episode, I just really want, and I know we're going over our time, but I really had to get that out today because this is so important when working and talking about people with dependency traits. And if you go down into the disorder, it's really heavy. It can lead to a whole lot of things. It can lead to being dependent upon alcohol and drugs. It could lead to being dependent upon sexual encounters. It could lead you down a whole place you don't want to go or don't want to be. And so I really want us to take time and work on some self-esteem things in the next 3 weeks, right? And so this exercise is, I want you to take a piece of paper. If you journal, write it in your journal. But I really would prefer if you wrote it on a little single paper. I love these little sticky things that I have sitting on my desk that just peel apart and they're in circles. So when I need to remember something, I just stick it where I need it to go, right? And so take a little sticky or take a piece of paper, and I just want you, and you know me, I like the number 3. I just want you to write down 3 things that you like about yourself. And I want you to entitle it, the things I like about me. Okay? And I want you to write down 3 things. And I want you to take those 3 things, right? And for a whole week, I want you to take that sticky pad out or that piece of paper out, and I want you to rehearse those things and say them to yourself at least 3 times a day. Okay? At least 3 times a day. And then after that week, after you've done that for a whole week, I want you to take that same sticky paper and I want you to stick it on a mirror. But I want you to stick it on a mirror, not like your bathroom mirror or anything like that. Maybe on a compact. I have one of those little personal mirrors that stand up in my bathroom for makeup, and I would just stick it in the middle of that. But find a mirror, handheld mirror, whatever. Put that sticky on week 2 on that mirror, in the middle of that mirror, right? And I want you to take that mirror for a whole week. I want you to take it out. A compact is really good if you got it. You know, just stick it in the middle of the compact. And then every time you take that compact out, I want you 3 times a day to read those and start with the title, The Things I Like About Me. And then I want you to rehearse those 3 things that you wrote. One of mine that I would certainly write is that I like the fact that I do like me. All right. And as you do those 3 things that week, do it the whole week. When we go into week 3, I want you to remove that sticky. Move that sticky from off of that mirror. And I want you to put it away. And I want you to look dead into that mirror. And I want you to say, the things I like about me. And I want you to say those 3 things 3 times a day into that mirror, looking straight into that mirror and nowhere else, looking straight at you. And I want you to do this because it will boost your confidence, whether you are dealing with dependent tendencies or traits or not. Those type of exercises will boost your confidence for work. They will boost your confidence just for you. They will boost your confidence if you're a part of, a group. It will boost your confidence, period. It will boost your self-esteem. Because guess what? Even if nobody else likes it, you like it. And that's what matters. If you're comfortable with it, that's what matters. So thank you again for joining us. I know it's been a long episode because I got to get back into it. Got to get back and just be with you guys. If you have a topic, I have about 3 more topics somebody else has asked me, other people have asked me to cover that I'm going to try to cover before the end of the year. I know this was quick. I know it was fast. But the main thing that I want you to realize about dependent personality traits is the fact that because it happened to you back then, it tends to come back up now in your ability to be independent, to not need as much validation. And you work, see a therapist, seek out a therapist, work with some interventions we just shared today, and move forward and be your authentic and true self. No more stifling your potential. No more holding you back. You're going to be your true self, and you're going to be phenomenal. So again, thank you for joining Breathe. If you want to reach us, you can reach us by one of our wonderful social media platforms, or you can email us or visit us on our website. And again, until next time, I look forward to what you can do in becoming your best self. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.